Today I'm finally going to talk about Mico, a brawler who is as annoying as Kid and Edgar, but surprisingly not as dangerous. That's not to say he isn't capable of being amazing, but his playstyle leaves a lot to be desired. So in this video I'll be going over not only the loadout that I've been using, but also the best modes he can dominate in. I've said this before in my video with Gale and Clancy, but Mico is another brawler who is probably difficult to play if you are not using a loadout. The reason I say probably is because if you spend the majority of your time avoiding and dodging enemies like on solo Showdown, you might have a chance at making it to 3rd or even 2nd place. Speaking of solo Showdown, this is one of the best modes to use him on because one of his star powers greatly benefits him here. I am of course talking about Record Smash, which allows him to deal 100% more damage against objects such as crates and defenses. Although it doesn't work on brawlers, I think that's perfectly fine because this star power has more uses outside of Showdown, which I'll get to in a minute. Anyways, as for my gadget, I decided to go with Clipping Scream, which slows down enemies for 2 seconds and deals a little over 500 damage. Compared to his other gadget called Presto, which increases his jump by 34%, I think this one is more useful for not only avoiding enemies but also making sure you can hit them when moving around. And trust me, one of the annoying things you have to deal with when using Mico is making sure your hits land on a moving brawler, which is difficult on its own and made even worse with brawlers who can dash. So this gadget makes things easier for yourself and maybe your team. Now moving on to the first mode, I chose Gem Grab for reasons I think you might know why. Mico is not very strong, at least when going up against more than one brawler, but he is good at dodging, so when it comes to Gem Grab, why not focus on doing that? If you enjoy playing Mortis on Gem Grab, playing Mico should be familiar and possibly easier with how versatile he is. Of course, it's still a good idea to attack brawlers when you have the chance just to get your super unlocked, but if you have a good team, you might end up winning before that even happens. Moving on to the last mode, I picked Heist, and going back to what I said about Record Smash, this mode is the main reason you should get this star power. Now when it comes to strategy, what I found useful is simply rushing to the enemy's side and immediately doing damage to the vault. There's like a 50-50 chance that the enemy team might either try to defend or attack your vault, which might also depend if your own team is doing the same thing. Like I said before, Mico is not good against multiple brawlers, but on Heist that doesn't really matter because a majority of players know that he can do a crap ton of damage on the vault. Fun fact, his Clipping Scream gadget for whatever reason does 3000 damage on the vault, which I didn't know about until just recently, so I guess that's another reason to use this gadget, right? So those were my thoughts on Mico, and I know a lot of people hate him for reasons that include things I've said in this video, but I think he's a perfectly fine brawler. With that said, I don't consider Mico to be the best brawler for Heist, since some map designs aren't really well suited for him, and honestly I think I prefer Gem Grab over Heist, but it's still a fun mode to play on if you have a good team. Sure, it may take time to get used to his attack style, but it does become fun for the most part. Anyways, have a good day.